Hi everyone, Pat here. Welcome to this week's Tuesday market review. Going to be taking a look at the crypto market, discussing some plans for the week, along with a few trade ideas. So let's get into it. Just before we start, this video is for informational purposes only and reflects my personal views. It is not financial advice. Always consult a qualified financial advisor before making investment decisions. You can check out the link in the description down below for a link on joining the Discord, and also my socials are linked down there as well, where you can follow me and see all of my daily updates, live streams, and much more. So talking about BTC first, as usual, I discussed this maybe last week or a couple weeks ago now, the Bitcoin price section that has very similar PA to the likes of the 2024 bottom. Not to say that this is the exact price action that could play out going into the end of September and into Q4, even though I expect Q4 to be a very bullish period for the crypto market, as I've been, riding this wave for a while. And as long as sort of 106K on Bitcoin continues to hold, I don't see a reason why we shouldn't trade much higher going into Q4 this year. But structure-wise, this looks great. I think this can have a similar effect to the move we had back in January 24, and a good reclaim back above this sort of like prior range low area, just as we have here, and we're trying to attempt to lock in right now. I think we could see a very similar move from Bitcoin. So we're going to discuss this reclaim right now because, obviously this 112K region has been a very difficult spot for Bitcoin. We've been stuck below this 112K region for what is now 16 days. So over 2 weeks, we've been stuck below this 112K region, and we can see we rejected it once, twice, 3 times, and now the 4th time we're making an attempt at moving into this area. Even though the daily meme line has broken, and this daily meme line has been something I've been looking at for quite a while now, and we can see consecutively over the past 2 years, the daily meme line breakouts has led to a very impulsive move from Bitcoin. What we have is a downtrend followed by some sort of like consolidation, and then the leg up follows from that, right? And we had that in the summer range last year. We had the downtrend, consolidation, and then we get the expansion, right? Again here, downtrend, consolidation, expansion, downtrend, consolidation, expansion, right? And again, we can see we had the downtrend, we broke the downtrend, now we're seeing the consolidation. So I think today is going to be a really important daily close for Bitcoin, especially as we have some important data this week, which I'll get into shortly. But today, a good daily close above 112K could push us into a breakout for the rest of the week. I think if we make a poor daily close today below 112K, I could see us trailing back down towards 110K until Thursday, where we have data and CPI. Taking a look at the data that we have on Thursday, we have CPI at 130 on Thursday. This is going to be really important numbers, especially with all the talk on the Fed cutting this year. We also have PPI tomorrow. This is not as important. CPI is the main one we want to keep an eye on, so expect some volatility into this area. And potentially, like I said, if we get a poor daily close today, we could see some risking off into CPI this week. That's the main data to keep an eye on for this week. But these are prelim data, so the consumer sentiment along with the inflation expectations. But again, CPI is the main one for us to keep an eye on. Big month in terms of data, all eyes on the Fed, what the Fed are going to do, and it can really make a big pivot for the market going into Q4 and the way crypto is going to be trading. We'll talk a little bit about the dollar shortly, but just want to point out this weekend gap that we still have above from 113 all the way to 116. If we do get a good daily close today, I think we can see a move up into the Friday close over the next couple of weeks and backfill this weekend gap. And this is a market imbalance for Bitcoin. These sort of weekend gaps historically backfill quite well. So I'm keeping an eye on something like this, a flip above that sort of like 113K region. Pretty sure we trade towards that Friday close and towards 118K and above. So now onto the dollar. The dollar is highly responsive to the way that data is coming, especially towards inflation and things like that. So CPI this week is going to be very important in terms of the dollar, along with the potential rate cuts that are coming later the month. Poly market currently pricing in the Fed decision in September to be a rate cut at 80% in favor of a rate cut. So will be really interesting to see how the dollar reacts into September and into these data events. Of course, we have to see how things go at the time. But yeah, taking a look at the dollar, I've remained very bearish on the dollar since we lost 99, despite the whole macro outlook for for it and for the US economy. I think that the dollar will continue to trade down into sort of December, which is aligns with my plan for Bitcoin, that we continue to see a rally into December. As I've said time and time again, I expect no cycle top earlier than October, which is just around the corner now, and a cycle top as late as November 2026. So even though we move into this red area, this is this last window of opportunity for a good bullish period for a bear market for me on Bitcoin and the crypto market. So we really want to be locking in from October onwards and at least being very aware of potential cycle top triggers. Looking at the values for BTC right now, we're looking at breaking back inside this developing quarterly value area low, and also back above the prime monthly value area low and the July value area low. All very important values for BTC. A strong reclaim back inside here, we can be looking at a move towards 116k and all the way to 120k plus. Taking a look at the developing yearly value area high in the top left, we can see that we have failed to break back inside this developing yearly value area high, and until we do accept back below the developing yearly value area high, I see no reason why we should trade to sub 100k. I think this structure looks good around the developing yearly value area high, and as long as we can consolidate here and eventually flip that 112k region, we're going to be looking at making new all-time highs this year at some point. Continue to buy my BTC spot and TWAP daily right now. My average entry is around 113k, so I'm a little bit underwater, but I'm trying to average in down here. Overall, plan remains the same on Bitcoin, looking for much higher as long as we don't accept under 106k, which is that 2025 Q2 value area high and the developing yearly value area high. But overall, potentially putting in a reclaim here. The third time at 1, 2, 3. So the third time that we're trying to put in a reclaim here, and it's a very important one this time around. Moving on to ETH. ETH continues to trade below that Q4 2021 value area high and trading back inside this developing quarterly value area right here, which I've highlighted. BTC leading the market, which is good in my opinion. It's really nice to see that BTC has started to lead the market again. It's very healthy for the market. You know, in terms of majors, BTC is sort of leading and carrying the market. And I'm not talking about altcoins. Obviously, there's a lot of heavy outperformers in the altcoin market right now, with a lot of scam pumps. So, but I always like to see BTC leading over ETH. That shows me that there's potentially a new rotation coming back from ETH to BTC, and of course, eventually this would then trickle back into ETH and other high caps and evidently more altcoins. I still believe that a sweep under 4,200 for ETH can be a really nice long position. Any sweep under range low and a reclaim can be a really nice long position for ETH. This really slow bleed is questionable to me. It offers quite a difficult place to take a position, especially when we have these equal lows below. I'd much prefer to wait for a fake down below range low, reclaim, and then we can look at a long taking a position towards range highs again. So obviously altcoins have been trading really well, so I'm going to touch on a few altcoins right now. Personally, I've been fading these big movers. I've been sidelined in terms of longs on a lot of these scam pumps that are happening, but I'm trading them really well to the downside and catching the tops and catching like 10 to 20% downside moves on a lot of these altcoins that are scam pumping, which I'm completely happy with. You can check out more on my Twitter. Been posting a lot of ideas and the way I'm trading these scam pumps right now for shorts over there. But Hype, new all-time high on Hype, continues to make price discovery. Right now, this is not a place I would be interested in taking a fresh long into. Anywhere from here towards sort of like 57 to 60 looks like a place that Hype can put in a pullback. We can see back in these occasions, we can see this developing yearly value area high, but the 2.5 to 3 standard deviation above the VWAP, so a pullback could be possible from here back down to sort of like $40 eventually from Hype. I'm going to be keeping an eye on some short triggers into sort of like $56 to $60 on Hype for a target back down to like 48 to 46. Link, this continues to look really good, to be honest. It's breaking out on the daily and continues to hold above this really strong higher time frame weekly level. I think it's one of the strongest alts right now in terms of, you know, the lack of a pullback. It got off the highs and the structure it continued to hold despite the market like bleeding over the past few weeks. Holding above the developing yearly value area high. A good long opportunity would be back towards 21. If we did get another sweep into like 21 on Link, I think that would be a really nice trade to take. I'm going to keep an eye on 21 for a fresh long on Link. The Jelly, this is kind of a bit of a scam coin right now, but I'm going to keep an eye on it for a potential breakout above here. With the way altcoins are trading right now and the scam pumps that are happening across the market, I wouldn't be surprised to see this pull a big scam move. This is not something I'm in directly right now, but I will be watching for a sort of higher low to be put in to look for a fresh long. I don't like this for a long right here into 48. But if we did reject here and sort of lock in a higher low into the developing monthly value or high and the developing weekly value or high, I think that could be a really nice place to look for continuation and a breakout trade on Jelly Jelly. There's so many altcoins right now to discuss. I can't go through all of them, and I want to keep this video short as usual. At least try to keep it short. If you want to know more on all my daily and intraday thoughts, you can check out the link to the Discord. I'm posting daily trades, streaming there all the time. I'm going live in a couple of hours with some of the boys over there. Covered all my majors thoughts, which is the main thing for these market reviews, is to give you an outlook on my majors thoughts and a view on the week ahead and what is on the horizon in terms of events. That's going to do it for this week's market review. Please check out the socials below and leave a like if you enjoyed. Drop a subscribe. I'm basically close to 2K now. I'm going to do a giveaway at some point. Thank you everyone, and I'll catch you on Thursday for the Charting from Blank episode.